Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We're excited to present to you tonight staff report on the Historic Preservation Survey update. When we updated the Historic Preservation Code in 2018, the need for better data on the historic preservation or historic resource inventory was identified as really being kind of a foundational part of this and a foundational part of the success of that program. And at that time, City Council specifically requested that this be funded. So we wanted to provide you an update on the status of that. And with me tonight is Karen McWilliams, the Historic Preservation Manager, and Sherry Albertson Clark, Historic Preservation, who actually did the survey work. So with that, I'll turn it over to them to present you that update.
As Tom said, Council funded for 2 years a contractual survey position to help us really improve the amount of surveys that we can achieve. In doing that, we evaluate the potential of an older building's eligibility as a landmark when a building is included in a development application, if it's near a development site, or in some cases with a building permit. And to evaluate a building, we first look at its age, 50 years or older. We look at its history, architecture, and integrity, which basically means any changes made to the building. Our evaluations were done by using surveys. We have 4 different types of survey. Each one has a more detailed amount of research done. And in 2019, in the latter half of 2019, we surveyed over 600 properties. And the first phase of this broader ongoing survey project was on South College Avenue. Now, the map on the right shows in green all the properties in the city limits that have buildings over 50 years of age. That accounts for about 12,000 buildings. And the pie chart on the left then shows the slice of pie, which is what's been surveyed in the last 3 years. That represents about 1,200 buildings. And by the end of this year, we anticipate being on track to survey about 2,000 properties. We use this information to put together our development review comments. We use it for building permit applications. The information that we're gathering has a bearing on site layout and site design, and also architectural design when we see development applications. It also lets an applicant and staff know what kinds of alterations, the extent of alterations could be made to an older building. And for property owners, they receive research information that they may not otherwise have access to. They can use that for building permit information, or they could decide to do a voluntary landmark designation. The information that we get from surveys provide us updated information. It's thorough, it's defensible, and it's transparent information. We think of it in a way as almost pre-qualifying a property. If we evaluate a property and it's determined not to be eligible, then we can move on, saving time and money for the applicant, the property owner, and staff. And if a property is determined to be eligible, then more intensive survey work may be needed in the future, but we'll know that a lot earlier in the process. We're proactively collecting this information so that we can better respond, and that in exchange is now increasing the confidence in our review process. And finally, doing this survey work fulfills an obligation we have as a certified local government. So the next steps for the project, and again, I'm talking about the broader survey project that was funded for 2 years. We prioritize our future survey areas based on areas we perceive to have development pressure. With this dedicated survey position, we can be fairly nimble. We can switch our focus from one area to another if we need to. And we will continue pursuing grants from History Colorado. Those grants can help us fund future surveys that can then leverage the city survey funds that we have. And finally, we'll use this information to improve our GIS-based map and database. That will give us more accurate information, and it'll be more accessible to the general public.